Good day, fellow watch enthusiasts. Today's job is to complete the repair of this Elgin Veritas pocket watch, 23 jewels. And I found the problem with this pocket watch is that the roller jewel, or the impulse jewel on it, was actually loose. And it was up slightly. It's a double roller table on it, and the jewel was up slightly and was not engaging when the watch was face side up. So this is the you can see sideways just a bit. You can see the roller jewel just peeking its way out. So this roller jewel right here, the impulse jewel, needs to be re-shellacked. So I did a little bit of, I don't do this very often, but I did a little research on the different techniques for shellacking that back in. I've done this many times before on my own watches. This is for a gentleman who's asked me to see if I could make this thing run well, and I found this particular problem with it. So I have the tool that's needed to hold the roller table in place while I shellac the new jewel, or shellac the jewel back in. The question is, do I remove the hairspring and do I remove the roller table to prevent the heat from getting to the hairspring and or the roller table? Now, all the books say you don't need to remove it, but I'm a scaredy pants, so I think I should be removing it. And while I do that, I also have the opportunity to align the impulse jewel to 90 degrees to the actual arms of the balance, which it wasn't aligned to before. So I can stake that back on that way, and then I can not worry too much of damaging the hairspring and or the balance staff with the additional heat that needs to be applied. So I think I'm going to remove all of this stuff. Let me show you what the tool looks like. So once I get the roller table off, this is the tool that's used to grab the roller table, and you just depress on this end here, and then you heat the end here over a flame. As you can see, I've done this a few times. And that provides heat to the roller table, which allows you to do it with the to place the shellac on and replace the jewel, or put the jewel in place. This is little small flakes of shellac. I've got enough shellac here to do 1 billion jewels. So if anybody's got broken jewels or needs a jewel replacement, give me a call. I can do 1 billion jewels. So eventually I'll get really good at that too. I've also got my magic roller remover. The magic roller remover. I love that name. So that's the magic roller remover, and its price is $3, and that was probably $19.30, somewhere in there. And it's got the various, I'm not sure what these are called, but stakes or something. And these are used. You turn that to tighten it, and you put the roller, you put this in here, and then you go tap tap tap, and then the roller, the balance falls down, the roller stays up. So, and it's got a couple stakes in here, so I can use that, or I can just search through my other stuff where I believe I've got the more stakes for removing rollers. So I'm going to try that out. So in this case here, just put my glasses on. These are my glasses. I got to put my other glasses on for a second. In this case here, I've got, ooh, I lower myself. Hear that sound? That's the sound of me getting shorter. In this case here, I would be grabbing the roller with this particular tool, like so, and then let me see if I can just grab onto that very carefully. There we go. There, I'd be grabbing it like this, and then applying heat to this end of the tool, or of the this particular tool. This would heat up, and I would put a flake on there, then push the roller through the top, right, and then reestablish that. But you know, the concern there is this heat gets dissipated through the staff, and it also gets dissipated through the hairspring. So the better idea might be to remove the roller. Although it's a little tricky to remove this roller because it's a double roller, and I've got a punch on the very top of this particular balance staff, and I do not want to foul the pivots on the end there, because they're in good shape. They look like they're in good shape. They're very, very small, and I don't want to have to make another balance staff for this watch, because that's just a whole lot of work. So the question is, do I try to fix this by leaving this in place? So, and I know the jewel is set in there, so I could remove the hairspring, so I'm not too worried about the hairspring, and then attempt to heat up this and put the roller back in. Well, it's hot. That could be what I do. So I'm going to try this out, and we think about it and then get back, because they claim that's how you can do it without removing everything. But I don't particularly like the hairspring being on when I'm doing this, so I may take the hairspring off, try to do the work without having to punch the double roller table off. I just need to put a piece of shellac on the top, heat this up, then push the roller jewel through the shellac, and then let it cool, and then it'll be fine. So I may try that, because it's a lot less risk on the pivots if I do that. And that is my whole story. Yeah, just don't overheat anything. That's the question, or the solution. So first step for me is to actually mark the position of that the stud. It's a little tip of red there, so, and look at where that's marked. Okay, so when I put this back on, I want this to be back in that position, so I can make sure that everything is appropriately lined up. So that's step one. So step two, which I've already done, was to put the screwdrivers underneath the hairspring and then rotate them both at the same time, and then just a little bit at each, and until the hairspring collet kind of rides up the hairspring. So I've done that already. I apologize for not filming that, but I've done that a million times, so you really don't need to see that. And grab the hairspring. It should come right off, and then put that in a safe place out of the way. So there's the balance staff now without the hairspring on it. So I'm going to have a look at that roller table to see if I need to clean that up. I find if I take a very small screwdriver, I could probably do this under my microscope, but I can scrape away all the old shellac from the top of the roller table, just to get a good surface there, and rough it up a bit as well. So scrape away the old shellac, and then I can put a flake of new shellac on the top. While I'm heating this up, it will adhere to that jewel, which would be a perfect situation. And then after I'm finished, of course, I test the jewel to make sure it's got strength on it, and make sure that the height of that jewel is right on the money. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm just cleaning that up just a bit, and that does clean up that roller table, the top of that roller table, and then take a little bit of Rodico to finish the cleaning. It does say you need to dip it in alcohol and that kind of thing, but I think if I rough up that top a bit and get rid of that old shellac, then there's no issue. The purists out there will be arguing with me, but there we go. And I'm also going to look at the other side of that roller table too, to make sure that the other side is also cleaned up a bit, in case there's gunk on the other side. So let me just clean that up a bit. Okay, there we have it prepped completely for the task at hand. The jewel is sitting there. It's sitting a bit low right now because it's beyond the safety roller part of the roller table. But what I do is I had to make sure that the top part, as I show you this, see if I can get that in focus better, but the top part needs to be flush. So that jewel is going to be absolutely flush with the top of that roller table. It's all about focus, I think. So as you can see, it's just barely or not even sticking up, maybe a little tiny bit now. And what I'll do is I'll melt the shellac on that, and then I will push the roller jewel up just a bit to make sure that it's that the bottom part of that roller jewel is in the right position and not too far down, right? Otherwise that it'll hit the guard pin and won't work. So that's the scoop on that. All right, brought to you by the Bulova School of Watchmaking. So everything I've shown you so far is what I've done to prep it. And as I've said before, I'll use the tweezers again. This is the outline of the tool here, and I apply the heat to the very tip of it. And the heat just transfers down through this metal here onto the roller table, and then the shellac. Here they have a shellac stick and a string, and that was old days. I'll end up putting a flake of shellac on there, and then having the jewel, the shellac will find its way into the edges around that jewel, and then it'll hold that jewel or cement that jewel in place. So, and this is exactly how I'm holding it with the tool that I showed you earlier, this tool here. So flip that around, kind of like that. So, or like that. So get the right perspective. Now the important part here is that once I've heated the shellac up on the top, and I'm going to get access to the top of it. As you can see, there's the arm for the balance, right? It's another reason for having the jewel at 90 degrees to the arm, because then you can get access to actually repair the jewel. I saw another guy online that stripped everything down and punched out the roller table and everything else, but then you're risking of damaging the pivots and other things. So I usually punch a roller table off when I'm making a new balance staff on my lathe. So in this case here, you've got access to it, so you pinch it into the jaws, put the flake of shellac on top, heat the whole thing up, move the jewel up and down a little bit to get the edges of the jewel coated in the shellac a bit, and then heat it up again, and then set it to the right position, and then you're good to go. Let it cool off. And here we have the roller table here in a double roller, as it says here. This is too short. This is the way it was before, and the jewel was poking out about this much towards the arm of the balance, or just towards the height of the balance arm. And this is too long here, right? So that'll interfere with the guard pin coming around, because there's a groove in here, and that's definitely going to interfere with it. And this is just right. This is like Goldilocks and the Three Bears here, okay? Goldilocks. So I want to start off with this, right? So I can lay the flake on here, heat that up, and then move it around, not this much, but move it around a bit, and then end up in this direction here. And plus, while the shellac is cooling off, I can actually grab that roller pin and make sure that it's completely vertical to this plane. So I make sure that you can move it left, right, or whatever, and make sure it's vertical to the plane. Otherwise, if it's leaning sideways or whatever, it won't enter the mouth of the pallet fork correctly, and it won't work properly. So, and of course, if I for some reason screw this up, once I've reassembled everything, I'll be able to tell. So what I'll do too is, before I put the hairspring back on, I'll just put the balance back in place without the hairspring on. Put on the balance cock, and then see if that roller jewel is the perfect height. It clears everything, and then the mouth of the pallet fork is kind of right here. So that's the job, and this is from the Bulova School of the Bulova. Wait a second now. The Bulova upside down School of Watchmaking. So and there's a gentleman online who I've been chatting with, and he actually got trained in the Bulova School of Watchmaking, which is pretty cool. So and it was started by some guy named Joseph Bulova, the guy who started the company back in the 1902 3 or something like that. It was registered or something like that. Anyway, so that's the job, and let's get at it. Okie dokie. So I got to take my spirit lamp, as they call it. I just call it a lamp. And this is a vintage one, I believe. It's hard to say what's vintage because they can make things nowadays that look vintage, but they're not. And there's the wick, John wick. And this goes up and down like that. So I want to make sure the wick is wet. I need a wet wick. And I want to put a little bit of this alcohol, the isopropanol alcohol, into the spirit lamp here, so I can draw up onto the wick. And then when I'm finished this job, I usually empty this so I don't have to deal with it. But I fill it up pretty high because there's no need. I want this to go all the way up and not have an issue. So, and then I can grab this part here of the wick and dunking the wick into the spirit lamp like that. Dunking the wick like this. And then I'll turn that wick around, roll that back in, and then the other part is going to be in there anyway. So dunking the wick in the other side, and then tighten the wick on the wick and spirit lamp holder. I think they call it a spirit lamp because they use it for seances or something, right? So, and I've showed you before I do card magic, so I know all that seance stuff is crap. So there we are. That's that, right? Now I've got to grab this here and light that up and get my flakes. So the first thing is to carve out some flakes. So I would take this, my flakes, and grab the world's smallest shellac flake. Just let me move these to the front here, the lineup, and grab the flake, grabbing the flaken mit der tweezers. I told you I was half Swiss, right? So I grab the flake like that, and then that's a giant flake, so I want to crack off a really small flake. So I should get close up for this, that way you guys are seeing some close up. I think I have the dirtiest mat in watchmaking. It just gets dirty over time. I need to replace it, but I have my my portable watchmaker's bench that I've shown you, I think, and that bench does a great job. So I'm not sure if that's a big enough flake or not, so I'm going to break off another piece here. You don't need very much because it does ball up, but just take your tweezers and then put it on top and twist it. So I'll try this piece here, this piece right here, to see if that'll do, and just put that right on top of where the balance is. So just put that right on top of where the jewel is sitting right now. And then, of course, I don't want to waste any of this stuff, right? Because I've got like a gajillion pieces of it. So I'll leave a little one there in case I got to recover that. So, and bring this over. Again, I'll just grab this while it's sitting here, and I want to grab it this way, right? So, and I want it to be 90 degrees. And there's a groove in these things here that this fits into. And I just have to make sure that it's in the groove. That's a song, isn't it? So it is in the groove. I can see that. You just take this here and you just look at it sideways like that to make sure that this is in the groove. And it looks like it's perfectly in the groove, right? So there, I've got it like that. And now I need to just put that piece of shellac right on top of that jewel. And it's in perfect position right now, so I may have to get my other glasses on to do that because it's pretty close work. So, all right, there's a close-up of the balance And I need to grab this piece of shellac here. And if this is too big, I need to cut another piece. And actually, I think it is too big. So I need to get a different size piece of shellac, I think, or just cut that clip. So I had to brighten this up significantly so you could see it just a bit. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use this little tiny piece of shellac and put that in place. And I'm not sure whether I can do this on camera because I would have to just edge it over and stuff. So see how that jumps off? Very dainty work. There's my shellac jumping all over the place. It's jumping shellac, jumping jack shellac. There, it just flew somewhere. There it is. You can't even hold this. I think I may have to use like a piece of Rodico, or I think if you take a toothpick and wet it, it'll stick to the toothpick. But I will fart with this to get this shellac sitting right over the jewel. I think this is the hardest part of the whole thing. So again, it's because I'm doing it on camera. It ain't easy. Oh, there we go. So now it's sitting on the table here, and I just need to edge it over. So I'll use a screwdriver for that, and not these big old tweezers. And I need to get that on top of the roller jewel. So I do have to switch glasses to do that because I can't see a damn thing. Can't see a damn thing. You probably can't see a damn thing either. I'll see if I can get a close-up of this after. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get closer to this somehow so I can show that. But that's basically where. So I've resorted to a third arm, so I don't have to hold that darn thing while I'm trying to put the world's smallest piece of shellac on top of the table. So it's third arm time. So I'm going to do that with a third arm, looking really closely, I hope. So first I'll switch goggles again. Oh, by the way, I've had some comments, and I use these goggles. They're cheap Chinese goggles. I take one lens off and I leave the other lens on, but I can get up to these are times 15 right now, and I can get up to times 20 if I'm doing a balance staff. So and this is what I do. The only problem with these things is when you want to look at small things when you don't have them on, it's a pain. So I'm going to see if I can just rest this piece of shellac onto the balance without doing anything, destroying anything here. Look at that. So that's on there. And it's funny, I just touch it and it jumps. So I gotta adjust it here on top, and it's very difficult. I believe that's over the jewel right now. So when I apply heat to the end here, that should melt the shellac, and then I should be able to just tap that jewel up a bit when it melts it. So let's see what happens, folks. Of course, with my luck, the heat is higher than the jewel, so I'm going to maybe have to raise my third arm or something, right? Or I can use a lighter, or I can figure something out. So I can take this off of the third arm here, or I can raise the third arm up a bit, right? By just putting something underneath, making it a bit higher. I like having this control though, because this is a very stable base here, and I don't have to worry about things moving at all. All right, I have flame. So I want to lower that a bit so it doesn't, so you just lower it like that, and I'm going to just lean the flame over to heat the end off up here, and keep an eye on that, on the shellac as I do this. So I'm going to maybe put some different glasses on here because these ones here are definitely very close. So I got enough flame here. Got to talk in a way that's not going to go out. So I'm going to I think I'll get closer with this loop here. I think this gets me a little closer. Can't remember. Yeah, it does. So yeah, that gets me a little bit closer. So, and when I get that thing, the jewel heated nicely, I gotta just tap it up a bit. So see if this works. One thing I don't like is I think that the balance is currently resting. Oh, that's not good. The balance is currently resting on this tool. So that's not good, because that means that'll be heating up the balance as well as the roller table. So that's not good at all. So now can I lift that up at all from the tool? Just move this flame out of the way so I don't start a fire. I just noticed that. That is not a good thing, folks. I'm just going to grab this and see if I'm able to move it just a bit up. There we go. So now it's off the tool. Yeah, it's not touching the tool. Yeah, so that should work. So that was an adjustment I just noticed, because I could have heated the balance up, and I don't want to do that. So let's see if this works. A little bit more flame here. And just heat the tip up. It shouldn't take very long actually to get this melted. And I can see it melting right now. And now it's turned into a little ball. And it should start spreading out a bit. I just pull the push the jewel up a bit. So now I'm going to very quickly move this over, grab this tool really quickly, and see where the jewel is. So the jewel is low. I just burnt my hand, so I got to push that up a bit. Jewel, I think, is still a bit low. So I'm not sure if that worked or if that's enough shellac on there to work. I did burn myself at the end of the thing there just a bit, so just having a look at that and seeing whether that jewel is going to be steady in there now, and whether, I think it's still a little bit low. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to heat that up again, because that looks like it will, it's not clearing the, it's not, yeah, that's not clearing the bottom of that bounce. So over here again, tighten that up. It's a good way of doing it actually, the third hand. So, and I'm going to heat that up and adjust it again. So I'm not going to videotape all of that for you, but I'm going to heat that up again and just play with it until it's the right height. So I put the bounce back in and I check the clearance, and I just have to move that jewel up just a bit. It's very close to the guard pin and I don't want it to have any issues. Okay, I adjusted the bounce, the impulse jewel, so that it was straight up and down. It was just above the second part of the double roller table. And now I'm just going to very lightly move this balance through to fork to see if the fork grabs it properly, and I end up with make sure it's on the right side, and it pushes it through. There we go. It did it on that side. And will it push it through on this side? Yes, it is. So that's a quick test without a hairspring to see if that works, and that just works friggin' perfectly. And see how that's very freely, there's no hairspring in there right now, it's just double banking. So it's banking off the back of the post and coming back. That's pretty cool actually. I don't think I've ever seen that. This is a watch working without a hairspring. That's how free it is. I may have to videotape this, so, because that's pretty cool. This is a watch ticking without a hairspring. Pretty amazing. It's so free, and when the jewel banks against the roller, it just comes back and hits it again. So I better stop it before I break something. Alright, so that's perfect. I just took a video of that to show people, because I think that's, I don't know if I've ever seen that one before. So that's good. So now I'm going to install, I'm going to have a look at it with my very close magnifying glasses to make sure that it's clearing it and grabbing it properly. It looks like it's working really well. And then I'm going to put the hairspring back on, and then I should be ready to test it and everything else. So there we go. Alright, the hairspring is back on. I pushed that on with my staking set. Pretty easy job. And ready to install. And then the roller, see if I can rotate this a bit. There's the roller jewel. Back that off just a little bit. So if you can see that, it's just sort of just above the second safety roller. Just trying to angle it properly. It's just above it, and so I put that in the watch, as I just showed you earlier. And I also looked at it through a very high-powered magnifying glass, and I could see that it's perfect. It's clearing it nicely. It's got enough grab on it, so it's in there nicely into the mouth of the roller. So there's no issue there at all, and it's well shellacked in for sure. So I'm going to install this and see what kind of amplitude I get and see how this runs. Alright, this task, I got to duck down here. This task is I'm going to now, I've got the hairspring on the roller, on the, I got the hairspring, where's the camera? There you are. I've got the hairspring now on the bounce, and I'm going to nudge the collet into the hole while I'm also allowing the hairspring to go between the regulator pins. So I'm going to see if I can zoom up on that at all. So I turned the brightness down on my camera so that you could see this. So I hold the balance cock in one hand. I've got the world's smallest screwdriver in the other hand, and then I just nudge that in. See if this works first shot. If it doesn't, then I'm a liar. I'm a liar, I tell you. So I gotta move this down a bit, rotate that just a bit, like so, and then see if that works. And then once I get it in the hole, I actually have to tighten that screw, which is probably tougher. So I'm going to play with it here to get it in. Worked faster last time. It's all about angles. So I've got to rotate this just slightly because my angle's wrong. And you lift that up and then rotate it like so. This technique is actually works really good. So if it doesn't seem to work on video, I know it works in person. So there. It's tricky though sometimes. It's tricky when you got to do it in front of people. It's like anything. It's like playing an instrument in front of people. It's really easy until there's a big audience. Come on, get in there. This looks on the video here, or in the microscope here, it looks perfect. Trying to find the stud. Come on, get in there. Right, there we go. It's feeding it through. Now the thing is the hairspring also aligned? That is the question. And the answer is yes. So I'm going to feed that to the very top, like so, and then I've got to turn my hand around. I have to actually tighten the screw from this side. It's tricky as shit. I'll get a lot better at this as I do it more. Make sure it's flush in the top and tighten that up. I think that's about as tight as I can get it. So that's not too bad. I'm going to switch screwdrivers to tighten that a bit more. But it looks like it's all in place. So we'll see if we get tick tick on here. As well, my focus is currently off a bit. So I'm just going to... There we go. Now I can actually see the screw. And I'll turn that just a bit more so it's in there. I think I could actually use a bigger screwdriver here. So I think we're good. I'm going to just lift that up nice and easy. There we go. So that is now in, which is nice. We'll check again, make sure that the regulator pins have got have grabbed it. I think they're there. So I'm going to switch a little bit here. That. and then adjust that so I can actually see what I'm doing here. And yep, it's in the regulator pins. No problem. Perfect. That's how we do it. It's just a different technique. So now I'm going to put the watch back in. I meant put the balance complete back in. I meant put the balance cock complete with balance and hairspring and roller jewel back in. Alright, just before I put the balance back in, I want to show you this again. I think I showed you this in another video, but I've tacked this board in the back of my desk so I can just swing the stereo microscope into position. So you can see the desk down here, and I can just swing that over like that and back into position, and I got myself a coffee holder right here. So that's pretty cool. Alright, now it's time for the ultimate test. So this here, I'm going to grab the balance here. Just before I do that, I'm going to take a little bit of Rodico and just tap along here just to make sure there's nothing that fell onto the balance while we're doing all this, so it's nice and clean. There we go. And then the mouth of the pallet fork is on this side, so it is ready to receive the balance if I put it in this way and then swing it over. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just get this done. It's freaking me out, Jerry. It's freaking me out. I need to get this thing working. There we go, folks. That is a balance done. Just put the screw in here and make sure there's it keeps on ticking, because it did take a licking, so it needed some TLC, folks, some TLC. Screw this in. That is a thing of beauty. And now I'm going to see if it stays running in all the different positions. I'm just going to pick it up really quickly and try that out. Yeah, it's all good. Turned it sideways, turned it upside down, turned it all over the place. So now I can case it and regulate it. I will put, before I do any of that, just to make sure my bead error isn't too bad, let's have a look at the bead error really quick, and I'll show that to you after I kind of take a picture of it. So I got the amplitude's about 250 and the bead error is 1.9, which is not too bad, and it's running around plus 5 seconds a day, which is really good. So I'm going to run it for a couple days, see how accurate it is, and then we're good, I think. I don't know if I want to screw with a 1.9 millisecond bead error, because I could go in there and start playing with that collet and other evil things could happen. So I think that's what I want to do for that, because the bead error before was around 7, something around 7. So I find this Swiss Connect software here that cost me a few bucks. This is actually really good for testing the bead error on a watch, I find. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I will see you later. I'm going to case it and then show it to you after it's cased. In this video, I completely disassembled, cleaned, and then reassembled this Elgin pocket watch, Veritas 23 jewel, very high-end pocket watch. Wasn't running exceptionally well from a timing perspective, and it turned out the problem was a broken impulse jewel, or roller jewel as some people call it. So the main thing here was that when the roller jewel was coming through, because it was loose, it was still working, but it was not. You're not able to regulate a watch when that happens. And as well, the roller jewel was riding up high, and when you turn the watch face down, it was basically jumping over the mouth of the pallet fork. So in this video that you just saw, I shellacked in a brand new, or I shellacked in the existing roller jewel after cleaning up the table, and then I put it into the pocket watch and ran it without a hairspring, and it worked exceptionally well, so well that it ran without a hairspring. And I show it was flipping around and overbanking and then bouncing back and then throwing it through and overbanking again. So that's kind of neat. I never saw that before. So this pocket watch is running exceptionally well right now. I could adjust the beat error again a bit. It's at 1.9, but it's running so well I don't want to fart with it, because it's an old pocket watch, and if it was having a real problem with timing, then I would. I got it to plus or minus 5 seconds a day, which is pretty good for this watch. I'm going to keep an eye on it for the next couple days, make sure everything's fine, and then I'm going to return it back to the owner, and hopefully everything stays intact. I'm hoping that there's no pivots damage in shipping or anything like that. That would be very upsetting, given the amount of work I've done on this watch. So anyway, this has been quite the adventure. Again, it's an Elgin 23 jewel Veritas railroad grade pocket watch. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot too. Thanks. Bye.